Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm so happy to be coming on today, relieved actually to be coming on today and speaking to you about Taurus season of 2021, roughly from the time of April 20th until about May 21st of 2021. This time is going to be essential in getting back to our roots and in understanding the true structure of our identity at this point in time, the true structure in which we operate our lives on, and I want to say, the cohesion of just the trust that we place in our day-to-day, okay? So I've got a lot to talk about in this video. I'm going to probably lay out some video chapters to kind of organize what this video is entailing of, but I'm basically going to go through some intuitive messages for the Taurus season period, and I'm going to talk about what to expect. And then I will probably talk a little bit about some of the astrology transits as well and what they could be signifying for a lot of people based on what we've come from in the beginning and middle parts of April and sort of recovering from that. So I'm actually going to start out with a bit of a retrospection. We came through a very hard-hitting time in April. I was really flooded with a lot of comments, messages, and emails from people being like, whoa, I've suddenly entered into one of the most difficult times of my life. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect for this like Aries Stellium transit, in the middle portion of April to actually trigger and catalyze one of the strongest, most overt, most hard-hitting questions or experiences or events in my life that have really made me think about things in a way different way, really made me think about the context of what I'm living in a way different way. So that I definitely feel is a real part of this Taurus season as well, is having understood what that really brought into our lives. For those of you who didn't get to see a lot about that, I spoke about that in the previous video in the Grand Aries Stellium and New Moon in Aries video, which I'll link below and in the top right-hand corner, where the huge stellium of like Sun, Moon, Venus, and Chiron, and Mercury as well, we really had, I think, a plunge into the depths of how we've acted impulsively, of the decisions that we've made that have kind of been in reaction to something without like deep thought. Again, Aries is the sign of impulse, sudden pioneering, quick movements, cardinal fire progress, and having that huge stellium that we're still feeling, I think, especially like right as this video is coming out, but I think it will echo into a lot of Taurus season. So that's why it's, important to really think about, in what way was I plunged into the depths? To me, it was a very kind of ill energy for some people that came as a result of that. I think that it really challenged a lot of people's physique, the physicality, the health of the body, the health of the decision-making process, and the impulse system, to me, was directly focused by that Aries stellium, because Chiron, being such an external, player compared to those inner planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, really brought a depth and a psychological element to those, really easier, beautiful, fun experiences like Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Aries, all really nice, all really fun, all really open and motivated and full of desire. So anything that dealt with those feelings of fun, desire, motivation, abundant energy, to me was looked at from a way more psychological angle. So coming off of that, I want you guys to all, like, preferably before we get into Taurus season, with the last bit of that stellium, to really look at where your motivation is lying, to really observe your recent impulses, to observe the way that your desire is working, to observe where your energy is coming from. And I've accidentally said the word deserve. So what you feel that you deserve based on your output recently may come up to the surface in hopefully a much more inspiring way and a much more aspirational way, because I do feel like the positive of that stellium was the fine-tuning or calibration of aspiration of really, really large-scale motivational patterns in our lives. That's a really nice aspect of that. But I think to get all of that really cleared up and to get all of that really healthy, it requires a lot of healthy decision making, a lot of sobriety, a lot of acceptance of what has or has not been a healthy feature of our lives. And that's hard right now. Like, that's not easy when we've been living for a long time with a sort of restrictive lifestyle, a culture, sort of building around how safety is achieved or how one can pull back in order to create more openness in the future, things like that. So that's also evocative of what was going on there. So I think that a lot of people have had a transformation to some degree. And how does that affect Taurus season? Okay, so segueing a little bit into moving into a beautiful, beautiful Taurus season right off the end of that. So first of all, I think the time period of around April 20th until April 28th, that last week of all planets direct, really pleads with us to establish a nicer feeling of hope, like a nicer feeling of grace as well. To me, this Taurus season feels very graceful, and it really highlights the need for us to trust in perhaps a higher force, or to trust in the grace of the universe, or like grace of God types of things, really wanting to be focused more. So like not placing so much faith perhaps into the control that you have. And what do I mean by that? Let's really dive into that a little bit. It's not saying that you don't need to have control, but I'm feeling that people have really, and this is like a collective thing, I'm feeling people have really emphasized the control that they have over their lives and their world, and the ability that they have to self-determine every single aspect, like individualism really growing high over the last few years. This has changed ever since the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, where there is sort of a leveling or a reliance spectrum that's rebuilt. But a lot of us aren't clicking that yet, and you can really see like the chaos of forcing yourself to do everything yourself. Being self-employed, being self-learned, having your own, things in life. Like all those things are really, really good, but there's also only so much that one person can handle. And I'm feeling that this transit and moving into Taurus season, the receptive second house energy, is going to really work with us. Also this Libra season, okay, so like September and October of this year, and then Aquarius season again of 2022. Are going to really focus, where do our reliances lie, and how can we foster healthy reliances in our life? I don't love the word reliance because it says that there is forced reciprocity to some degree, which can also be a problem. So I'm also trying to understand what the middle ground of this is, but I'm intuitively feeling that there needs to be a sort of feeling of having people on your team, having people on your field, having people who you can turn to, not just for like assistance or reliance, but with like expertise, okay? So having a feeling that you don't have to do everything in your life yourself, to me feels important. Especially for those people who have really fostered that sense of individuality and who have maybe forced themselves to do everything on their own. The people who've built that and forged that and seen the positives of that can now start to almost offer themselves a hand into a more easy life, okay, through having some really positive connections now. So I do think socializing is going to be good during Taurus season. For some people, it's a beautiful, like a period of dating or making new friendships, making new acquaintanceships, and very positive. This is one of the positive things of this Taurus season, is the ability to find love in your life. And that's not even necessarily like love relationships, but like self-love, absolutely. through maybe giving yourself more security through not forcing yourself to do everything in your life. Self-love, but also just the feeling of joy through understanding, okay, so this is an important message coming through, and it deals also, I know we're kind of jumping all over the place, but it deals also with these Aries stellium and the Chiron and Aries transit, is fears of bad things happening, fears of a worst case scenario descending upon you, I feel that that's really prevalent. I think that there's a big amount of fear, like a sort of unparalleled amount of fear that a lot of people find themselves in, especially after the last year and a half. And with that, I think that there is a lack in faith, and there's a lack of faith in, again, like the feeling of like grace of God, grace of the universe, the thought that miracles exist might be very low. A belief system that revolves around any type of miraculous intervention might be like less than it's ever been, actually. And then I think also people deprive themselves through that of any relaxation in their lives or any calm moments. So again, it's not saying that you need to totally like put all of your faith into some non-tangible, intangible thing and totally stop trying. Again, it's a very Aquarian thing where there's, a pouring back and forth of energies where you need a little bit of this, a little bit of that, different ingredients as like a recipe, where you need a little bit of faith, you need a little bit of effort, you need a little bit of control over your life, you need a little bit of, alliances or helpful people in your life, hopefully. You need a little bit of love and friendship. And then you also need a little bit of realization of times in your life where maybe you were afraid or really worried about a worst case scenario, but it totally fizzled and nothing bad happened. To me, that feels like the power card for a lot of people right now. Is like, okay, I see other times in my life where I was really concerned about something going really bad and it never came to fruition. And I totally actually coasted and realized on the other side of that I had deprived myself of happiness out of fear in an unwarranted way because nothing that I was afraid of came to fruition. And I think that a lot of people can lighten their load a lot right now through seeing those times or seeing that tendency and giving it to themselves now, giving themselves the joy now, giving themselves the calmness and tranquility now that they may be deprived of themselves in the past. Okay, so that's a very full circle, beautiful spiritual message coming through that has made me really confident about collective healing during Taurus season, okay? Moving on from that, what do I want to say? I think that there are quite a few people who maybe need a physical representation of it, though. Again, Taurus is the fixed earth sign. It's the material, physical reality, anything real in your life, like your house. Again, there's a difference between like fourth house Cancer energy house and second house Taurus energy house, but they both rule houses in different ways. So Taurus rules over the physical structure of the house, like the walls themselves, the architecture of it, the materials that have built the house, and the sort of protection that it offers. And then like the financial aspect of a house, the purchasing of a house, the value of a house. Like that's what Taurus rules over with houses. Whereas Cancer fourth house energy is what the home emotionally represents, the sheltering, the way that a house almost kind of parents those who reside in it and protect it from the elements. And then like the healing and the safe retreat of a house. The emotional connection to a house is fourth house Cancer energy. The family aspect of a house as well. So with the second house, I do see that quite a few people are moving or planning moves or getting new materials for their houses, renovations of their houses. I've seen a lot of that. And I think that it's a very positive time for renovations, or a very positive time to, really enjoy the material of your house, the material of your clothing as well. The material aspect of your life can be a big source of happiness right now. And to be clear and keep the thread of my message going, though, I think that many people are like requiring the material feeling of their life, the material proof, the objects, the real world tangible stuff to facilitate this ease and joy. So that's not totally necessary. And if you're someone who maybe is not satisfied with the material aspect of your life right now, try to not make that the sole, the soul of your life or the sole object of your security. Though for a lot of people it is, and it has been for thousands of years for humanity, housing, money, clothing, all that stuff plays a big role, but it doesn't, with this Aquarian energy, this unconventional energy, you can actually find new sources of security or, other things that make you feel a lot more easy and joyful. But another thing that you can do if you're having like fear or worries or heavy feelings right now, the universe really just wants us to keep it light. I'm feeling easy, fun, enjoyable, safe. But if you're having a heavy, confused, or even like super emotional time after that Chiron stellium, Aries stellium, it feels like maybe you've got to go through everything. Okay. This is kind of cool. And I think a lot of people can absolve themselves completely of certain things which have been creating a feeling of worry. Every single issue that you're worried about, every single aspect of your life that's like contentious or heavy, go through each thing and maybe find experts or find expertise in fields, like if you're, I don't know, like working in the corporate world or something and you're not positive about, what the policies of like your company is, or like if you're employed and you don't like really feel safe within the company or something, I feel that you can find experts or you can find other people in similar companies or in similar places who can help you. Again, going back into like other people being in helpful roles right now to see like, okay, is this typical? Is there a problem here? Is there something out of line? I feel like some people really do have to get that direct material, vocal, like verbal, even in writing type of like understanding of like where they really stand to prove it to themselves, just to like make themselves sleep well at night. So it doesn't feel totally necessary that a lot of people do that, but it feels like it's something that alleviates a lot of issues for people. And it really shows front and center any tendency to worry about non-problems, non-issues, if that's the case. And of course, if there is a problem or issue, then you can like easily resolve it through that. So it's kind of like a best of both worlds thing where like on one hand, by maybe seeking expertise or consulting with other people who have been in your position before or who have experienced what you're going through now, that's more of what it is. It's not even about expertise so much as it is like peers or people who have been in your place. That really helps to solidify not just the problem at hand, okay? And this is vital, okay? Not just the problem at hand, but the way that your decision-making process is identifying problems or not, okay? So our system, I don't even know what to call this, but like, I think y'all will know what I'm talking about. This like system that we have where we maybe get a gut feeling that something is off, or we get a feeling that we need to direct our focus into something that is not necessarily presenting problems at this time, but we feel like it's going to, but it hasn't. That? Like, to me, that is what this Aries stellium that we had really brought to the surface, okay? Is the want to identify problems before they're problems, the want to like never make mistakes, the want to like really be in control, and stuff like that. Because again, Chiron inverts, okay? The planet Chiron creates an inversion of energy. So Aries is a sign that really doesn't think twice. It's a sign that, leaps before it looks. It's a sign that pioneers and usually is lucky in doing that. But when you put Chiron into it, it inverts that. So it turns Aries more, Yes, into its opposite Libra, which is very strategic, very thoughtful, very balanced, very, will really create an entire spectrum of potentials before it acts. It's not a very impulsive actor typically. So I feel that while it was an Aries stellium, it was also a very Libra energy that we were dealing with Chiron there in some ways. So now I think in Taurus season, again, it's combining so much because Chiron is still in Aries. Obviously, it takes a long time to move. And it's something that we've been dealing with for years. Okay. As we go through Taurus season, there has to be a material understanding of whether some of these worries are warranted, and then also what's evoking or what's creating an impulse to fall into any like worry patterns. Okay. And okay, so let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about. I mean, we talked intuitively about Taurus season, but I want to really focus it directly and sort of get some ideas, looking at the astrological charts as well, about what the season itself is, physically bringing. So as I'm looking at like mid or into May and into mid-May, let me find that chart here. Okay, I'm just kind of looking through. We have great Taurus stelliums, which to me, and again, it's been crazy. We've had stelliums for all these last like 4 seasons, and I'll tell you why that is. So we've had Capricorn stellium, Aquarius stellium, Pisces stellium, Aries stellium, and now Taurus stellium. And why we've had such big stelliums is because all of the outer planets are in that quadrant of the zodiac. So we had Jupiter and Saturn in Capricorn before December, and they moved into Aquarius into Aquarius season. So we had all the personal planets in Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius. And then we have Neptune in Pisces. So we had all of the personal planets in Neptune in Pisces making a stellium. And then we have Chiron in Aries. So we had all the personal planets in Aries making a stellium with Chiron. And then we have Uranus in Taurus. So then we'll have all the personal planets going to Taurus making a stellium with Uranus. So no outer planets are in any other sign. So for the rest of this year, there are not going to be the same kinds of stelliums as these 4 months in a row. Okay. So that's an interesting thing to think about with this Taurus season as well. In its own way, it is an ending phase to like a series of stelliums, including outer planets, that were chronological. Okay. So the pressure is immense. The need for progress is like paramount. The hyper-focus in one area is strong. The lack of a comprehensive, more organic, holistic approach is very obvious. That's just kind of talking around the way that things might feel right now. But it's better in Taurus season because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And Gemini season is going to be a beautiful, light, incredible, progressing time. Okay. I think Gemini season is going to give people wings. I think there's going to be like a feeling of flight. There's going to be a feeling of elevation. Try to not be afraid of heights because, it's going to really make us feel like we can soar. Okay. So just in recognition of Taurus season from that angle, it's transitioning us from these heavier feelings into a much lighter place. So I think the only way it can do that is through resolution, material representation of resolution, and more health of the body, and enjoyment, joy, grace. Grace is a word that I keep feeling to come up for this Taurus season. So a lot of us are becoming more graceful. A lot of us are trusting more in grace or trusting more in exterior forces, okay? And I think that there's more beauty in this Taurus season than we've seen in a long time. So I'm feeling that a lot of people, especially as it really gets, heavily into May, so like May 10th until like the end of Taurus season really makes things start to feel nice, like nice temperatures, nice fitting clothing, nice fragrances, nice skin as well, smoother skin. For people who've had skin problems, there's a really good opportunity to heal the skin. Okay, so any type of acne or any type of aging process that you feel is not, natural, or anything like rashes or dry skin is really good to heal. So that makes me think that we're really healing from the inside, because the skin is the biggest representation of internal health. So don't just think that you need to put on the like $170 moisturizing cream and call it done. That could be nice for Taurus season as well, if it's justifiable. But really take it from the inside out. So like celery juice, I think, is so great for a lot of people. Green juices of any kind. Again, Taurus is the greenest sign, I think, of the zodiac, really. So gardening, okay, growing things from seeds, planting seeds at this time, or having some type of greenery around you, being barefoot in grass is really good, okay? Eating a lot more vegetables, eating a lot more organic things of the earth, I think will be healing for everybody, okay? And then that feels to have a really good effect on the skin. Also, things are really... The skin, if we think symbolically, is a protective. It's something that really creates a veil or a layer between our internal selves and the external world. So those things are really coming up with Taurus season and becoming thicker, okay? Becoming thicker, becoming more cohesive. It's not so much cohesive as it is like less translucent. So, we're always talking in these spiritual communities about how the veil is getting so thin. It's getting thicker now, okay? So with that, you might feel a little bit less psychic, or you might feel a little bit less inclined to really know things that aren't obvious, or less inclined to really force some type of hidden knowledge to be the focus, okay? And it really focuses more earthly, worldly things. That's been happening ever since Jupiter and Saturn went into Aquarius, because it's a masculine air sign. So it's more focused on like direct things like right in front of you than it is about like what's behind the scenes, what's beneath the surface, which is neutral. Like that's not a positive or a negative thing. It's just like a matter of energy. But I also feel that our own energetic boundaries take on that type of thing right now. So if you're someone who loves to be psychic, or if you're someone who is very psychic, again, remember these things are seasonal. Remember this isn't permanent, but I feel the veil thickens at this time. I feel that there is a lot of positive results of that given where we stand right now. Because with a thinner veil, I mean, to me, it's crazy the way that some spiritual communities, or, all this stuff, how much they play up like how positive a thinner veil is. And again, it's neutral. It's not positive or negative, but we've got to really watch out for demanding that of our lives, because a thinner veil also means a more susceptible internal situation. In a sense, a more translucent skin, a more weak skin that is not so safe from like attack or assault, all right? And yeah, it is also true that what has really precipitated the thinner veil is Neptune and Pisces, okay? However, it's getting very, very advanced. And to a degree, I can see how the veil will get thinner and thinner up until the anaretic degree, or 29 degrees of Neptune and Pisces. So we've still got a ways to go with that. But I think in this season, before Jupiter goes into Pisces, before Saturn goes into Pisces, that will really thin the veil up big time. Like I'm talking a thinner etheric veil than we've experienced, I don't know, for hundreds or thousands of years. But we have a great respite from that, and maybe a preparational phase for that period now by having like a thicker veil and a stronger skin and a stronger protective aura, or the potential for a stronger protective aura for this next, I would say, 2 or 3 years. That timeline is very abstract, though. I'll have to look more into some of the transits to really say for sure. That's just what's kind of intuitively coming in. But I think Jupiter in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius are sort of the representations of a thicker veil, of a more fixed, alchemical, yeah. So maybe it's kind of like a shifting veil as well. I'm sure some of you love this conversation. as this is very like jargon-filled advanced topics, but bringing it back into a more like simple feeling. Basically what you want to enjoy is the obvious things right now, the things which have direct material results, the things which you have had success with, and try to generally, and it depends on the subject, but try to perhaps refrain a bit from overcomplicating things or from a tendency towards confusion or fear without like a really strong reason to actually be there, is as best as I can put it. But Taurus season in a nutshell, okay, I like that word nutshell, very Tarian, you know, needs to be earthy. It needs to be grounded. It needs to be filled with nature. It needs to be blooming. It needs to be simple. It needs to be uncomplicated. It needs to be clearer, more unconfused, and directly, what do I want to say? Directly attempted to resolve things which are problems and to not sort of prolong problematic phases. And also, I will say it's very lucky. It's a very benevolent time. We do have a Pluto retrograde coming into the second week of Taurus season, which I'm going to make a specific video about. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button below. And be sure to follow me on Patreon as well. I'm going to link that below. And there'll be some other links in the description box, which I would really appreciate it if you guys can check that out. It's a way to support this channel. If you wanted to vicariously, so be sure to check that out below. I've got like a link to Keen where you can get like private readings and you can find like advisors, because I'm not doing them right now, and it's just an alternative for you all if you want to like support this channel and also, you know, have some access to like a large, you know, array of different people who, you know, specialize in these types of fields. So that's all below. Be sure to check out the description box of this video if you get the chance, and subscribe. But yeah, I'm going to be making a Pluto retrograde video, which should be going up at the end of April, along with May general forecasts, which I'm really excited to make because I think May is one of the best, potentially one of the best times, most relaxing times, most clear, light, airy, breathable, safe, expansive, new energies that I felt in a long time. Of course, nothing is without its problems, but I think that we want to get less problem focused and more expecting of a nicer life. Okay. So anyway, everyone, I'm going to leave you on that note. It's been beautiful catching up with you all, and I hope that you're all doing really well. I'm kind of a little bit in hiatus mode right now. Like I am just doing what I'm feeling called to here on YouTube. But if you want to get a lot more bonus content, weekly forecasts, I will invite you to my Patreon page, which is what keeps this channel running, you know, because ultimately this is a free content here. And I'm so happy to be able to provide that. And I just love that you guys are still enjoying the videos. Comment below on this YouTube video and let me know like how it's going for you. Like, what do you think Taurus season is going to be like? Do you have any great plans or any way that you plan on channeling this energy? I'd love to hear your own personal account if you feel drawn to share, and just kind of maybe even like journal out in the comment section, you know, what you'd like to see during Taurus season. And then your likes and subscribes, as I said, are very, very helpful. If you like to support the channel, that's a great free way to support the channel, is just through likes and comments and subscriptions, or sharing it as well. Sharing it with someone you think might benefit are all great, which I appreciate so much. Very awesome, totally free ways to support this channel. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope that you have a beautiful Taurus season. Let's jump into it. Let's really rise above from this like heavy, heavy Chiron Aries stellium, and maybe never feel the need to worry ourselves so much about things like that. Okay. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Have a nice lead up to Taurus season. We'll talk later. Bye.